Welcome to the first part of this course. Before we begin, I will explain what a caricature is. In 3D, most of the time it is called stylizing or cartoonizing someone. But what does it actually mean? Well, maybe you heard people saying a caricature artist picks one part of your face and makes it large, or they make you ugly. Well, this is not completely true. I say it is partially true. You can recognize a specific feature of the face and try to exaggerate it. But that does not mean you have to make a person ugly. Of course, you can make a person look funny because that could be a part of stylizing. One of the best definitions of a caricature I heard is from John Cash. And he said, a caricature is a portrait with a volume turn up. And it's true. The caricature artist what makes the person unique and exaggerates them or simplifies them to the extent in which a person is more recognizable than his original self. It could be anything, from the facial features of the face to his gesture. How he walks, what his attitude is, everything matters. In a crowd full of 200 people, you would easily recognize your friend because the way he walks, the silhouette he has, and the shape of his body. In caricature, you have to find what feature is special, what makes a person look different, pick that difference and exaggerate it. It is as simple as that. In this course, you won't exactly learn how to make a caricature, but I would teach you how to see. There is no one way or two way to make a person caricature. There are thousands of iterations a person could make of a particular person. Let's suppose I see a person's nose is a unique feature, but for you it might be the head shape or the eyes. The important thing is it should be recognizable. So in this course, I would teach you how to see. I would teach you how to pick a most special feature of the person's face and how to exaggerate it. So according to me, caricature's foundation depends on these three fundamentals: recognizability, exaggeration, and expression. What I mean by recognizability is that your subject needs to be recognizable. I'm not talking about the likeness. If you sculpt using the real proportions of a person using the real life reference, it would be a realistic sculpture and not a stylized. In a stylized sculpture, you give shape to those features, but those shapes needs to be recognizable. If someone's face is round, you make it rounder. If a person has a thin face, you make it thinner. But don't go overboard, because changing the proportion of the face without reason would be distortion and not an exaggeration. Every change you make on a face needs to be there for some reason. No matter how far you go with this stylization, in the end the subject needs to be recognizable. Without recognizability, your purpose of caricature would fail. Second is exaggeration. After you figure out the prominent feature of the face, you have to decide which features of the face you would like to highlight more. Just like turning the volume up, if a person's face has a distinguished nose, you pick that as the subject of your base caricature and build other shapes around it. Now the third, which I call the expression. Your subject has to be expressing something. Artists often make mistakes and most of their 3D models are symmetrical when sculpted. They just have a dead stare through their eyes. So you have to give some expression to it. After you establish the character recognizability and exaggeration, you have to give character the expression. It could be a smile, or he or she could be looking somewhere else, or there is some body movement there, some pose or anything. It could also be some kind of message you could give. For example, here is my stylized render on Albert Einstein. I have given a message through this render. He is explaining his theory of general relativity, all these planets, gravitational pull, and the formula itself. They are all giving a message. Another great example would be this Mark Zuckerberg render I did. I made half of his side as a lizard man because of the famous meme a while back, a theory that he is a lizard person and not a human. So I put a funny message in this render. Arshad Nadeem, a Pakistani athlete who won the gold medal in Paris Olympics. He made my country proud. So here is the message from his green t-shirt representing a country's color, from his pose, the gesture, and the Olympics medal wrapping around his neck. All these things count as an expression, a message. Without it, your model and render would look really boring. This is how you can think of any expression you want to add on your models. Without an expression, your model would look really boring. This is a brief summary of what a caricature is for an artist, especially if you are creating a 3D model. If you consider these things first before you start your observation, it would be considered a plan. And with a plan, you would be going somewhere instead of roaming around endlessly. Before I end this video, there is one book I want to recommend. If you are really serious about being good at creating caricatures, the book is called The Mad Art of Caricatures by Tom Richmond. Most of the things I told you in this video are heavily inspired by that book. Tom Richmond is an amazing 2D caricature artist. He teaches how to see and how to observe a person's face. For this course, the book is not a requirement, but it will surely help you develop your skill to see more if you read this book at least once.